Billboards have been erected on the road from the airport to central Moscow welcoming King Salman in Arabic and Russian. His son, Prince Mohammed bin Salman, visited in May just before his elevation to crown prince, and in 2015 the country's sovereign wealth funds agreed to $10 billion in investments. A business forum will include speeches by top ministers and the heads of state-owned energy giants Saudi Aramco and Gazprom, as well as a presentation of Saudi's Vision 2030 reform program, which aims to end the kingdom's dependence on oil. Syria and Iran. Moscow sees the trip as a payoff for its two-year-old intervention in Syria and recognition of its growing Middle East clout. Even 12 months ago, Riyadh was highly critical of Russia's involvement in Syria, and the relationship looked as frozen as ever, said Chris Weafer, senior partner at economic and political consultancy Macro-Advisory Ltd. Today that has changed 180 degrees. Both countries now see political and economic advantages from a closer, albeit pragmatic, relationship. This visit is intended to make sure it stays on track. Discussion of Syria is likely to focus on what the country will look like once Islamic State is defeated, Assad's future, what peace talks between Saudi-backed opposition activists in Damascus can achieve, and the creation of new de-escalation zones. The king may also seek assurances that Iran will not have a permanent role in Syria. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov said Moscow hoped the king's trip would breathe life into a relationship with huge potential and was interested in maintaining dialogue with Riyadh about the Middle East and Syria in particular. Any discussion of the oil market and the efficacy of moves to prop up prices by cutting supply will be closely watched. The oil price fall in the last 3 years has overstretched both producers' budgets, making an extension of joint cuts beyond March 2018 more likely. Moscow said last month it had discussed with Riyadh extending the deal, but no specific decisions had been made ahead of a November 30 producers' meeting in Vienna. Russian Energy Minister Alexandra Novak said in an interview broadcast on Monday that the planned $1 billion fund to invest in energy projects was part of efforts to strengthen cooperation in oil, gas, electricity, renewable energy and other projects. Russian firms are also discussing deals with Saudi Aramco, such as providing drilling services in Saudi Arabia, and Russian oil giant Rosneft's interest in crude trading, he added. Russian Economy Minister Maxim Oreshkin said on Tuesday investors were interested in a nuclear energy plant Saudi Arabia wants to build, and Saudis would be offered investment opportunities including in shipping companies of conflict. A Russian energy source said a memorandum of understanding, MOU, was expected to be signed between Novatek and Saudi Arabia on a liquefied natural gas (LNG) project, known as Arctic LNG 2. That aims to start up in the 2020s. He said details were still being discussed. Russia would like Saudi Arabia to become a shareholder in the project, but the source said there were also other roles the kingdom could take. Saudi Aramco and Saudi Basic Industries Corporation, SABIC, is expected to sign an MOU with Russia's biggest petrochemical firm Sibur to examine opportunities for building petrochemical plants in the two countries.